Oh, here we go again. It's a preseason. I know. Sean Payton said it's super important. And I'm like, eh. I mean, it feels better when you win, to be sure. But the Denver Broncos now 0-2 in the preseason under Sean Payton. And I just want to remind everyone that the year that the Detroit Lions went 0-16, they won every preseason game. The Rams aren't the only team, but the year the Rams won the Super Bowl, they didn't win a preseason game. Rams don't play their starters, but still, okay, calm down, everyone. We're fine. Like, everything's fine. That's what's going on right now with the Denver Broncos. You saw some good, you saw some not so good once again in the second half with a defensive collapse for the Denver Broncos against the San Francisco 49ers. Last second field goal has the 49ers win 21-20 is that final score. And we are here to break it down. Well, me so far, not a we yet. I think DMac should pop in here sometime to be sure. So, what did we see from Russell Wilson? Well, it was pretty quick exit for Russell Wilson. I was shocked. Color me shocked because we had the word from Sean Payton that the starters would play about 24 plays. And, well, I saw Randy Gregory in the second half. That was interesting. And I saw Russell Wilson for just a little bit. And Russ did his thing, right? Leading the Broncos down the field for a field goal. Russ got it done as a rusher, got it done as a passer, 50% passing. But either way, like, you saw him making those quick reads and those quick decisions. And yes, his legs will be back. And this is why, yes, I think someone's going to have to play when, not if, but when Russell Wilson gets banged up. Like, you see, it's clearly part of the Broncos strategy this year and clearly part of what Sean Payton wants Russell Wilson to do. He wants Russell Wilson to take off and run. If it's not there, just go, just run. And that's what we saw Wilson do tonight. That's what Wilson will do during the regular season. But in this league where it's 100% injury rate, well, guess what? I think Russell Wilson's going to get banged up this year. So you got to be ready with it's either Jarrett Stidham or Ben DiNucci, and it should be Ben DiNucci because Jarrett Stidham is not good at football. Either way, welcome in, everyone. Again, waiting on DMac. If D takes the night off, well, he works enough anyway. So we shall see. Lots of comments about the offensive line already in the chat room. And we'll talk about the offensive line. We'll also bring up what's happening with that defense, which collapses every single time. And the reserve players on this defense that aren't coming through. Also, some bad news with Jalen Virgil. Big play, 50-yard catch, sets the Broncos up, and Jarrett Stidham screws it up. But either way, you didn't get through this game unscathed, but you got through this game with starting quarterback Russell Wilson doing what he was supposed to. Hitting your drop, 1, 2, 3, throw, 1, 2, check down, 1, 2, run. Watch your hitches, watch his footwork. His footwork has been better. No one should be saying that Russell Wilson's going to set the league on fire. And in the same breath, no one should be saying that Russell Wilson sucks and can't play. Like, what's going to happen this year is Russ is going to be pretty average. But as long as he runs the ball and stays somewhat upright and the offensive line kind of protects him, then you're going to have Russell Wilson that can lead you to 10 wins this year. Is that enough to get in the postseason? We'll see. Do they get 10 or is it 8 wins, which won't get you the playoffs? Is it 7 wins? Like, there's a range for this Broncos team. And we're seeing that Russell Wilson can fit in this Payton offense. And I said this on Orange Blue today. I think it was on Thursday, and I made a clip of it because it was so impactful. Like, it can work with the Denver Broncos. It can, if only the offensive line helps out Russell Wilson. You can see it. You can see how it works. And I'm getting sweaty in here. So I'm going to let my hair go. And I'm going to talk about these Broncos because, oh my goodness, offensive line woes. I tweeted earlier today, like, Jason Peters doesn't want to retire. And I was like, that'd be pretty nice for the Broncos because he can play guard or tackle. And the last time he played tackle, he was the number 22 PFF ranked offensive tackle. Now, that was 2 years ago. Last year for the Cowboys, he played inside at guard. did get banged up, and he's 40 years old, but a 40-year-old former left tackle, maybe left guard, maybe inside guard, whatever, like, that's a good move. That's a move that can help this team, at least in the locker room. I mean, at the very least, and as a locker room presence for this team there as well. So here we go with the Denver Broncos in this preseason recap. Again, 21-20, the final score. 49ers get the win. Broncos, whatever. I honestly don't care. I think it'd be nice if they won, just like Coach said last week, but honestly, does not matter one bit. They looked good. Javonte Williams looked good. More on him in just a little bit. And Jaleel McLaughlin's your third running back. I know there were others, and I was told not to be mean, so I will keep it somewhat nice. But all it takes is a quick Google search to find out who was promoting Tyler Beatty as the number 3. I'm like, just go to training camp. All right. For everyone out there that's talking about the Broncos, for everyone out there that's writing about the Broncos, just go to training camp. No one would ever tell you that attended camp every day or even half the days that Tyler Beatty was the number 3. I don't care what the initial depth chart said. The initial depth chart, they were thinking they could possibly sneak Jaleel McLaughlin through, which is dumb, by the way. 2 rules in life. Don't be dumb. Don't be in a cult. And the Broncos, like, yeah, you should have known better. Like, Jaleel McLaughlin is going to make plays. Jaleel McLaughlin is going to be someone other teams are waiting. They're just waiting for that waiver wire, waiting for you to make a mistake. It's not going to happen now. We know now in this game, the most important game, reserve's going to play next week. Whatever's whatever. Kids got to stay healthy, all that. But the Youngstown State product certainly now making this team, no doubt, no question. Number 3 back, explosion there to add to the backfield, because we know Samaje Perine doesn't have explosive plays. 15-yard carries or even catches and then yards after catch. Samaje Perine ranks among the lowest in the NFL. Like, Samaje's a really good back. He's a plugger. He's going to bang it up in the middle. Like, that's what he's going to do. Don't expect him to rip off any sort of plays much over 15 yards. It's not his game. Never has been his game. Never going to be this game. And I don't mind that at all, like, whatsoever. So here we go, talking about the Denver Broncos, and welcome in over 200 people watching. And again, more questions about the offensive line. We'll get to it all. And I think this upcoming week, the joint practices, and the Broncos haven't released their schedule yet, so we're not sure what day it is. Probably Wednesday, if I were to guess. The joint practices between the Rams and the Broncos will be significant, and the game won't matter as much because it's the third preseason game, and most players, you already know, aren't going to play, although we will see guys like McLaughlin, whatever. So let's get into this thing. Russell Wilson, as I said, 3 of 6, 24 yards as a passer, 3 rushes, 25 yards as a runner, and on the ground, he's doing what he needs to do. That's why he's in there for a small handful of plays, smaller than we were promised. The team got a longer look at Jarrett Stidham, and it's not great. I know the big play to Jalen Virgil. Thank you, Jalen Virgil, for making that big play and then fighting for the extra yards, and then he hurts his knee. You can read about that. I believe Jake Shapiro wrote about it at denversports.com. But Stidham, 130 yards, 50 of that's on that one play. 12 of 17. Okay, wasn't bad. Like, Stidham is a robot. And maybe Sean Payton likes that, and they brought him in and they paid him. He's likely to be the number 2. There is no doubt about that. But if I look at this situation and I go, okay, is Jarrett Stidham better than Ben DiNucci? The answer is no. Why don't you go out and get another quarterback? Whatever. I think the quarterback conversation is dull. It's surface level, in my opinion, because it's all about Russ. If Russ doesn't work out this year, whatever. Or Caleb Williams, hello, or whatever. You're not. It's all about Russ. I don't care. Stidham and win you some games. Like, okay, just don't crash the car, right? That's what you're thinking about with Jarrett Stidham if he is the number 2, and he's likely to be in their number 2. But DiNucci's there, and he'll probably play if Stidham got in. So again, do I really want to talk about that? No. Why? Again, surface level. I don't want to do that. Both quarterbacks would play because Stidham's not good. All right. There's no sort of like flash or he could be something. Like, no, that's not the case. And listen, hey, Stidham can play for a long time. He can make a bunch of money and barely play and barely get hit and have his body. He can be like Trevor Siemian, right? And Siemian's taken a ton of big hits, but Stidham hasn't yet. but he could play for a long time, make a bunch of money. I'm happy for him. But for the Broncos, it's all about Russ. And Russ has looked good in the system. It's working as long as that damn offensive line looks better. And the problems, offsides or false start, on everyone except the center. Lloyd, got to snap that thing. Got to be on time with the snap count. But, the offensive line is a trouble spot for this team. And it's what could cause I don't want to say downfall. The Broncos are going to have to scrap. All right. And I've said it on Denver Sports Tonight. I've said it on Orange Blue today. I'll say it here. You've got to win ugly this year. If you're a big Broncos fan, or if you're watching this show this late at night, you're a big Broncos fan. And guess what? You're going to be a fan of a team that wins ugly. They're going to win with defense. They're going to run the hell out of the ball. And even a game like the Commanders in week 2, that's like a 2017 game. You're going to win. Everyone's predicting the Broncos win, but don't expect them to run away in many of these games, even against the quote-unquote easier teams. And I don't think the Commanders are an easy team whatsoever. You all hate the Raiders, right? The Raiders suck, or the Raiders are terrible, which they are, especially their fans. But, the Raiders game is going to be close. And the Raiders are terrible. So with the Broncos, this is just what you're going to get. And with Russell Wilson, though, you can see it works. You can see if he has time, he can make something happen. And if he doesn't, he can make something happen with his legs, which he's clearly been commanded to do from on high from Sean Payton. I dig that. I've seen it at training camp. At the beginning of training camp, you didn't see much from Russ in terms of footwork. It was poor. He held on to the ball too long. He was getting sacked, quote unquote, no sacks in practice, but he certainly would have been sacked on multiple plays. As practice went on, his hitches were better. His feet were pointing. Your feet lead your eyes. Everyone watches the center stripe on the helmet when we're watching film. Yeah, that's fine. I'm watching the feet first. Feet are going to tell you where his eyes are going. And with Russell Wilson, we saw okay, it can work. Get him out of there. Make sure he doesn't get hurt. All those sorts of things. And then on to the backups, which aren't any good. Guess who's here, ladies and gentlemen? He's DMac. He's number 1 in your hearts. Hi, D. We saw the Broncos lose again, and I don't care. I don't care they lost. It sucks they lose at the end. It sucks they collapse. I know Coach told you. And was that your second question? Make sure you don't get a second question.
Hopefully it was only my first question. Plenty of questions after this one. But Cecil, does it matter or does it not matter?
I think from a spirit standpoint, it matters. But just from I said it at the beginning of the episode, when Detroit was 0-16, they won every preseason game. When the Rams won the Super Bowl, they lost every preseason game. They don't play their starters. But still, we need to look at it logically. It just kind of sucks. I'd rather talk about a Broncos win and be like, they won, and Jaleel McLaughlin, and then we're like, oh, they collapsed again. There's some problems with the back end of this roster. But DMac, we already knew that.
Yeah, no duh. And listen, this is a tricky spot. Because when you're honest sometimes with the fans never want to hear that. The fans always want to hear that winning's the most important thing and blah, 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 blah. So you have to be careful here because it really doesn't matter. And I was trying to figure out why in the world it possibly could matter. The problem is, Cecil, the reason why it's an issue is that maybe it does matter. It wouldn't matter if you're an established team and you're just getting things done. But when you don't have depth, when you've got tons of questions, all of a sudden you put emphasis on things that, Cecil, just don't really matter. There were so many positives about tonight.
Yes, a ton of positives.
So, Jaleel McLaughlin, my goodness.
You're not hiding him and anybody. Let's put him on the roster.
That's so, for example, do we really need to see more Jaleel McLaughlin?
No.
I'd say no.
No.
How many snaps did Russell Wilson get tonight, Cecil? 13?
Well, he had about 13 because he had 9 plays, 3 rushes, and then 6 passes. So there you go, So and Russ did his thing. He led him to a score, and then they got him out of there. I thought his feet were on time. I thought he looked better.
Cecil, you gotta slide if you're Russell Wilson.
Oh yeah.
Or if you're, when you're running around in a preseason game and hey man, you got the first down, go down, man. You got it.
It's fine.
And This is going to be the weight loss Russell, the freshman 15 Russell, that all of a sudden, oh, look at, bum, I can run. And it's like, hey, man, you got to be smarter than that. I think they were trying to protect Russell from himself. I really do. I think, why didn't he go out for another drive?
Yeah, he was supposed to, according to coach. But if they're protecting him from himself, I just say himself. I say good. Same for the regular season, because we know one of those backups are going to play, or get this, both backups are going to play because Stidham stinks.
Yeah, and I said on Wednesday after the Wednesday practice, that's good. I've seen enough. We get it. You got better. You had a great practice. They had 2 really good practices this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. That was fine. I think they made the right decision getting Russ out of there. You had a good drive. I mean, that was a cool drive.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
they scored.
They scored. You scrambled around. You got points. Good night from Maher. Way to go. Nice bounce back for him. The offensive line, I don't know. Stidham's, my goodness. I mean, who would you rather have, Jarrett Stidham or Trey Lance? What are they going to do with Trey Lance?
Yeah, they're going to sit on him. Nobody's going to trade for him.
Well, I know. It doesn't matter anyway. Stidham's getting $5 million. So.
Right. Stidham's the backup, everybody. But DiNucci would play as well. If Russell Wilson goes down, both quarterbacks will play because Stidham won't get the job done.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Sean Payton did say it matters and went on about why it matters. And Vance Joseph said that can't happen again. Like it was a really serious deal. And I heard last week from a couple of muggles behind the scenes that coming off the field, Sean Payton was really upset last week. So what's he going to be tonight? I mean, you probably should be more upset, really, when you think about it, especially when you're given a gift with Brandon Ayuk jumping all over the field and, giving them a 17-yard 2-point conversion. I mean,
that's crazy.
You only had to get Cecil. How much time did they take off the clock in their one possession? 10 seconds?
Something like that. Yeah.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. All you need is 2 first downs and you win the game. So, hey, it wasn't all on the defense. Okay. It wasn't great, but the offense has to get a couple first downs there too. I mean, Cecil, I guess if it matters, I don't think it matters. I'm not freaking out by it, but I didn't get up there and say it mattered in the first place.
Right. I'm glad coach was honest with you, though, because multiple coaches would not have been honest with you. They'd have been like, no, I mean, preseason, we evaluate. He said it matters. It's a feel thing. Like, you want to win. You want to be a winner. But here's what I want. I want them to beat the Raiders in week 1. That's it.
Me too. Hey, let me ask you a question, Cece. Do you care, or does it matter what the Chiefs did to the Cardinals tonight?
What did the Chiefs do? I haven't seen.
Oh, they blew them away. I mean, They erased them from the face of the earth. It was.
Yeah, because it's the best team in the league against the worst team in the league, so they should.
But a team that beat the Broncos last week, and I don't know. I'm just so ready just to get to it.
Yeah, just get to the regular season. This team's going to win ugly. And Javonte played a little bit more than I thought he would, but Javonte looked fine. We've seen training camp, so it's interesting. Like, the nation is getting to see Javonte Williams, but we've already seen him. Like, he did what we saw him do in camp. Like, he's fine, everybody.
Yeah, he's good. What were your other what else stood out to you? Garcia had another good game.
Yeah, Garcia's making this team. Like, that was cool to see. For this squad. Somebody asked about Jail Skinner. He needed a game and he had one. I still think he's bound for the practice squad. He's a 6th rounder. So, look at that. But I look overall at this team. I think your offense is pretty much already set. Unfortunately, Jalen Virgil gets that knee injury. That's never good. So, does Montrell Washington now make the team or whatever? We saw a little bit of Marvin Mims. So there's like guys I want to see more of. Mims is certainly one of those guys, but like offense is set. The line's set. The skill position guys are set. It's McLaughlin as your 3rd. And obviously the fullback is going to be used in this offense. That's hit. They've hit us over the head with that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's a significant role for Michael Burton. No doubt about it. So like I said, it was fine. Listen, to me, this game was over at halftime anyways. Like, good enough. That's more or less what we need to see. you're fleshing out the bottom end of the lineup. Hey, guess what, Steve? The team has crappy depth all over the place. They have lousy depth. They have lousy depth because you had to give up a bunch of draft picks or you haven't drafted well in the past. For everybody that says the draft doesn't matter or the draft is a crapshoot, which is a bunch of crap.
Yep.
Shoot. There you go. Now, if you needed any more explanation, and the whole like George Payton is a genius at the back end of the draft. Really? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Let's stop on that. Jason Peters wants to play, and I tweeted about it earlier. I said, pick him up, because the last time he played tackle, which was 2 years ago, he was the number 22 tackle in this league. And last year he played guard for the Cowboys. I think he played one game at left tackle, but he can still play. Honestly, I would take Cam Fleming, Jason Peters' offensive line over Garrett Bowles, Mike McGlinchey. As weird as that sounds, or as blasphemous as that sounds, like, yeah, they don't have depth, everybody.
Do you think, and I'd have to go back and watch it because I have to go back and see it. Yeah. Do you think there is a world where cutting Garrett Bowles is a smart move?
We talked about it in Orange and Blue today on Friday, and the answer is yes. If you make it based fully off financial decisions, knowing that you might have to replace Russ next year, you're going to need all the dollars, and you can carry over cap savings. So if you save the money now, and then you're saving money from the future for Garrett Bowles, like Garrett Bowles, if you cut him now, could basically pay for Lloyd Cushenberry if Lloyd does enough to earn a new contract. So yes, it financially, if you just go by the numbers, it does make sense. I'm not predicting it. I'm still so worried about this depth, and especially offensive line depth. So I don't think it's going to happen, D, but stranger things have happened in this
you would
game.
Never do it unless there's just a better player you either have or you can get. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't just be, just a money savings. It's nice that there is some sort of financial savings, but it's insane to do for that reason. I mean, it would have to be that there literally is a better option either out there or on.
Is Cam Fleming, because I think the difference in their price tag is about $7 million. Is Garrett Bowles $7 million worth more than Cam Fleming at left tackle? My answer is no. So and again, if you can add a Jason Peters and McGlinchey comes back, and then you've got Posluski, and I'm always going to mispronounce his name until I learn it better. But
that's definitely not it, but it's close enough.
Yeah, it's close enough. We know who I'm talking about. But you've got some options. This team, I just think depth is such an issue. So people got to stay healthy, and you're going to win ugly, and you're going to win close games, and you're hoping to win about 10. But if something happens, somebody gets banged up, now you're looking at like a 7-win team.
I will say small things. I do like that Sean Payton was calling a timeout late because the tide had turned and you got to call timeouts to try to get the ball back.
Right.
Kyle Shanahan's smart. He just started taking knees because I'm saying here, they got to let them score. And I wonder if Sean, I think he would have. And that's one of those rare situations in a game where you're up 2, it's inevitable they can win the game with an easy field goal. You actually literally do have to let them score. That doesn't come up in a lot of games, but that was the situation. And that's where the Broncos, they were allowed to score by Arizona. And Sean Payton defended that point many times after the game, later that week. So it is a thought out thing. So again, I do like Cecil, the way Sean Payton is at least thinking about football. I get it. It hasn't worked out 2 weeks in a row, but the thinking is solid. The how to handle the end of the game situation is good mentally. How to just figure it out. They just couldn't execute it on the field.
Right. I do have to disagree with our guy Chicken God here, who says Wilson holds on to the ball. Okay, yes, that was true in Seattle. That was true at the beginning of camp, but one thing we saw from Russell Wilson at the end of camp, especially those last couple of days, D, and then in this game, he's following the playbook. 1-2 run, 1-2 dump it off, 1-2 get rid of the ball. He's not. That's an old narrative. Again, Chicken God, you're the greatest YouTuber of all time, but no, that's fake news, false information. He's doing better at running the system, which includes get rid of that damn ball.
I am afraid Russell Wilson, with his try-hard efforts, won't slide when he should. He's feeling more fit. Cecil, I am just worried he's going to get himself hammered and knocked out. And I really do think that's why he got taken out of the game tonight. It's like, that's enough. Can't risk any more. But that definitely goes against what Sean Payton was saying this week. He was saying, 20 to 30 plays, right? I mean, at least 2 drives.
Oh, yeah.
And all of the ones were in with Stidham. All of them.
Yeah.
Nobody else came out except for Wilson.
And on the flip side, Randy Gregory was in there in the third quarter. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what is up with that?
What are you doing? The guy can get hurt. He gets hurt all the time. And VJ, this was the danger of bringing Vance Joseph back. And this is also the danger of that offense is better and other teams have to do more. You saw San Francisco come out hot. San Francisco with Debo, with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, they were hot. Remember the physical practice they had?
Yeah.
And I think it was when Emmanuel's still here. And like the 49ers just punked everybody except Tim Patrick. That's how this game started. I was glad to see the Broncos have a little bit of fight too, because the 49ers were trying to punk them.
Yeah, I mean, who could forget that? Day 1, they got their butts kicked. It was embarrassing. And then day 2, Philip Lindsay wanted to fight the whole team like he was Tanner from the Bad News Bears. And, they responded a little bit better. Right. But it wasn't, it was like there was more spirit. They were more physical. It was just, Kyle Shanahan's throwing the ball over the field. I mean, it was embarrassing. But that was a long time ago. And I didn't think that would happen tonight, Cecil, based on the way San Fran played their first preseason game. I got to admit, man, I really did think the Broncos were going to win this because it just meant more to them. I mean, It was so obvious this game meant more to them. And then they got lucky. Special teams, man, I laugh at it all the time, Cecil. Guys trying to catch balls because they're desperate to keep their job. So you cannot have people desperate for a job trying to return kicks. And at least it happened to the other side of things. A nice hustle, great play, and that should have been it. That should have been the ball game.
Jaleel McLaughlin has never looked natural as a returner in practice. Like, we love him as a runner and as a receiver, he's excellent, but he's never looked natural. And it was a weird kick. Like, I'm the Jaleel McLaughlin make excuses for him guy, but like, okay, it was a weird kick. It was short. He ran or anything, but like, okay, bad play, kid. At least you got it, and then scored a touchdown after that, and then another touchdown after that.
Yeah, and I mean, I was talking specifically about the 49ers blowing the punt, but I know.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I don't know, man. I think most Broncos fans are going to leave this one pretty unsatisfied, Cease. Pretty unsatisfied, and then you look at a game and you're like, can't score. I mean,
yeah, they're kicking field goals, and that's what they weren't supposed to do, and that's why the answer for this team has got to be some explosion. It's got to be when they get to the regular season, you better be force feeding Judy the ball, and you better get Jaleel McLaughlin involved. Yeah. Let's start the campaign now. I'm not saying he's the starter. I'm not even saying he's the backup, but you better have a Jaleel McLaughlin package because you need someone that can break it. And Samaje Perine, God bless him, I love him. He doesn't get 15-yard plays. He's one of the worst in the league at explosive play rate.
Yeah. Listen, critical practices against the Rams next week in the non-training camp preseason practice that fans are not allowed to go to. Don't know why. I have no idea why. The most interesting part of the preseason the fans can't watch, but whatever. Make the most out of that, and let's get healthy for the first game. Meaning, and I don't want to bum anybody out, but the game at, Empower Field next weekend, that doesn't matter either. Because especially that one, because you have the preseason, you have the practices against the Rams. I think those matter way more than the game.
Yes, that's what matters the most. Next week's game doesn't matter. And here's the other thing. By the way, on Chicken God, I hate to disagree with Chicken God all the time, but like they got to make a decision on Russ because 2025 money is guaranteed if they keep him next year.
37 million.
It's not 2024. No. If they keep him, it's 2025, fully guaranteed. Like,
and it's 37 million.
So. Yeah, that's awful. So they got to figure him out. Now, here's the thing. Is Sean Payton looking for a new GM right now? Because, okay, here's why the third preseason game doesn't matter, D. Let's ride on this. Let's pick this up where you put it down. The third preseason game doesn't matter, but here's the thing. How much of this roster is going to turn over on the back end? because they do not have talent on the depth part. They've got nice starters. They've got a couple of guys. They've got some young players. Like, there are some key pieces in Elijah Garcia making some plays, right? I think Drew Sanders making some plays. But, like, okay, just make the 53, put them on a practice squad, because you're going to start robbing other teams' practice squads. You're probably going to be one of the most active teams to make up for what you don't have because you don't have the picks, and Payton's not good at his job. George Payton. So, Sean, if you're Sean Payton, you're probably thinking of a new GM right now.
It's probably occurring to him. I mean, but isn't this something else that we've said repeatedly for the past? I mean, again, it's kind of like a no-duh thing. And this is why, Cecil, in all honesty, it really takes, when you start brand new, like the Broncos keep doing, it's hard to really evaluate anything until after the second year, or at least you give it 2 years. Yes. Because we've gone through the same thing just time after time after time, more or less, for the past 7 years. I mean, since Peyton Manning left, right? Right. Like even the year with Gary, he needed a year to develop with all that. And you know what? You look at that year with Gary, 2016, not bad. I mean, really, with Trevor. Yeah. I mean, you went down to the second to last week of the season.
Right.
You lost to Kansas City. They're a great team. And then you played the Raiders game, which didn't matter at all. And you won that. Who cares? But just cost you a draft pick at that point. And then they just haven't been able to figure it out really since. You do need that time to develop. And I do like what Sean Payton is essentially doing. I see the logic to it. I like it. I like how his brain's working. I think he's a really good coach. But you need that time. You do need that time. I'm not sure about Russ either. I think Russ could be okay, Cecil. I do. I think
if he's okay, you can't keep him because you're not paying him okay money. Like, Russ has to be great for you to keep him. This is the problem. And then if you're getting rid of Garrett Bowles either after this year or before the season starts, like, now you're looking for a left tackle or quarterback, you're doomed. I don't want to be Chicken Little, and I'm not catastrophizing, but, like, Russ can't be good to get paid like that.
Yeah, but again, now you face the same problem of the 2-year development. So, okay, fine. You move on from Russ. Now what? Now you set the clock to 0 again, and likely you need 2 years, kind of no matter what. I mean, unless, of course, Stidham was good, which he's not.
Right. So I thought, honestly, and I said this before the game, I said Sam Darnold's a good test for them because I think Darnold's going to start some games for him because Purdy, even that elbow, probably get banged up again. But, like, they wanted him. I know Pat McAfee or somebody denied it, and then Pat McAfee had my tweet on his show. But, like, they were going to trade a first-rounder for Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets. I know that for a fact. And now Kyle got him. So, like, I think Darnold was a good test for him. And it's like they passed it. You know, they took some shots. They passed it. And then it just fell apart. And that was when Lance was in. Yeah. Trey Lance is not good, everybody. Like, as athletic as he is and nicest guy ever, like, he's just not good. And they couldn't hold their water against a guy that can't play.
He carved it up in the last 5 minutes and the last 2 minutes.
Yep.
He carved it up. So, I mean, okay, but that's a pretty good game for Trey Lance. And you could tell the teammates, the Niners teammates, were excited for their guys.
The fans were excited.
Those that were there. So, yeah, okay. I mean, the Niners had a good night. The Niners had a good night. And the Broncos, I mean, they didn't have a bad night. It was just a sour ending. But it really, really, really wasn't a bad night. They keep an opponent scoreless in the first half against Arizona and 3 points against the Niners. 2 road games where the starters are basically playing defense for 4 quarters and it's 3 points. Cecil, I'll take it. I mean, that's pretty good. And, okay, you don't have an ability to finish defensively with the third-teamers on the field. Okay, we've got some glaring issues with depth. But we knew that already. And when you put all-star teams together in free agents at Cecil, that's the risk you run. That is the risk you run.
Yep. The risk you run with Jaleel McLaughlin is don't expose him to the practice squad. By the way, the chat room wants to know, and I've deduced it, DMac, because I am an audio expert so I can hear. And I was like, wait a second. I sense porcelain. I see a shower curtain, and okay.
All right. I did watch the game.
Okay.
But I'm also
Is your
in
stomach
St.
okay?
Louis. I'm in St. Louis. My younger son is going to a new college.
Okay.
And my lovely wife is sleeping out in the bedroom at the hotel we're staying at. So I'm trying to be somewhat subtle and failing miserably. But there you go, Steve.
It's all good, man. We appreciate that.
See ya. You can
take a look.
Turn the shower on. Well, I don't even know how to turn the shower on. All right, forget it. Trust me, the shower might work. It might not work.
Are you staying in a motel? Like, you're gonna saddle up on a roach? Like, seriously? Like, the water doesn't work?
Yeah, see, hey, dude. All I have to say is I'm in St. Louis.
Okay, that's all we'll say, and we'll move on. Any other takeaways? Like, again, Drew Sanders with a good game. I know some people on Twitter were asking me about, like, what are they? And remember what Vance Joseph said. We're not showing you what we're going to do with him in the regular season. And what they're going to do with him in the regular season is rush. He's going to rush everybody. He's going to be your Micah Parsons like as a reserve. Singleton got exposed in coverage, but that's what he is. I mean, he's a tackler. He's not a coverage guy. Jewel getting who was that? Was that that was Ayuk that like put his helmet after the play, put his helmet in Jewel's stomach? I was like, okay, 49ers, they're feisty. We saw that out there, every time you face the 49ers, it seems like there's some sort of fight or feistiness or extra stuff after the whistle.
Yeah, but that's the culture that Kyle has built. Why would we have wanted that here for the past decade?
No, so, I don't
know. That's another Cecil.
That's another flush the toilet.
Yes.
Could have had Kyle Shanahan. There you go. Yeah. People want to make sure you have pants on.
The night is young. The night is young.
Okay.
Take off at this point. That's enough of me, anyways. Cecil, I'll tap out and maybe go clean up. But
okay.
What are you gonna do, guys? Are you gonna really be that bummed, or? I mean, are people freaking out? Is that just what we're going to have here?
I think people are just hating on Vance Joseph because the defense collapsed again.
Okay, then buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to be a rough week because it happened 2 weeks in a row now. And if it matters, then that sucks. If it really matters, it sucks. All right, Steve, I'll see you later. Bye.
All right, see you, DMac. There you go.
I'll see you. Bye.
I can't believe he checked in from the bathroom. And again, I don't know where he's staying. I know he's in St. Louis, but you could have went to the lobby bar. Like there's internet in the lobby. There's lobby bathrooms if you want to go down there. Anyway, we'll keep the toilet humor out of this show. And yeah, just wrap up with some of my final thoughts on some of the reserve players here as we go through what the Broncos did. Again, 21-20 final score. You've got some players that are flashing. You've got some players that are, younger players. I mentioned JL Skinner, who came through with 3 tackles, one of them solo, seemed to have some good instincts, which he did on film. He's also a hitter, which you can't really do in practice. JL Skinner hasn't had really good practices at all, but in games that you can see that come through. Elijah Garcia's got to make the team. Like he has to. You probably do something with Mike Purcell on injured reserve or something to start the regular season. Tyler Lancaster as your backup to DJ Jones at nose tackle. But Elijah Garcia, after the 2 weeks that he's had with 2 sacks and a pick now, love it from that young man. And he's also had, and Vance Joseph said, inconsistent camp. I'm not VJ, but I would say, he's had his moments in camp. I never have watched Elijah Garcia and thought, man, that was a terrible day. I look at Nisang Bassi, who's had an up and down camp. And there were some times when he was late today. There were some times when he was on time today. I look at Jaquan McMillan, who is, again, speaking of feisty, like he would fit the 49ers for sure because he's feisty, he doesn't back down. But my God, does he grab a lot and he'll get burned. And it happened today. So McMillan, again, up and down. I've never really thought that with Garcia. Whatever's whatever. Nick Benito's kind of gone away a little bit. He had a quarterback hit today. I want to see a little bit more. And maybe I've changed my expectations about Benito because they were so very low entering this camp. And then he's just flashing, beating up on Garrett Bowles, beating up on McGlinchey, beating up on Isaiah Prince, whoever. Maybe it's just the Broncos offensive line is bad. But game-wise, I just want to see a little bit more so you can have these waves of pass rushers. Your defense is going to have to stay healthy, as we've seen over the last 2 weeks, and your starters are going to have to lead the way. So that's what we're going to have to see from this Broncos team. Hopefully, that is the case for the Denver Broncos. Damari Mathis, he's going to get a lot of targets. And if they try to rotate in McMillan or use some other form of some corner combination, where's Faion Hicks at? Like, I wouldn't want to start Faion Hicks, but like, you're going to have to supplement for that. And Justin Simmons on the field will be a huge difference maker. Okay. I want to be very clear about that. No offense to Kareem. Caden Stern can make some plays, but like, if Justin Simmons is out there, then perhaps he can help out on that side opposite of Pat Surtain, because I said it on Orange and Blue today. Damari Mathis hasn't had a great week of practice this last week. And then in the game, you saw some problems there as well. So secondary guys playing way off at the end, your Delonte Hoods or whatever. That's interesting. We'll see what they do. But like, we're basically upset about guys that aren't going to make the team. Of the guys that are going to make the team, you see good players. You see them put in the right situations. Of the guys that are going to make the team, this team needs some of those lower end guys to make some more plays. This is where, an Asang Bassier and Art Green, somebody like that. Where's Fabian Moreau at, right? Like there's going to be some guys that need to make some more plays that just aren't. Your Justin Sternad's going to have to make more plays, just aren't. Your Jordan Jacksons need to make more plays. Like, this is the problem with the defense. Again, the offense is kind of what the offense is. Wide receivers are getting banged up. Jalen Virgil knee injury. I'm not sure if anything's new out on that. I'll check Twitter, the lowest common denominator. Like, I'll check Twitter in a little bit, but like, that sucks without Jalen Virgil, because I've always felt Virgil is your best return man, even though they don't really give him looks there as much as they should. I wanted to see more. Marvin Mims had a catch for 8 yards and a tougher catch to be sure there. Nate Atkins can make this team, everybody. I know I looked at Mace last week during practice as we watched Nate Atkins continuing to make plays. I looked at Mace and go, he's going to make this team. Like, he made plays in practice. He made plays in the game, 3 for 17 today, being a reliable target. And again, your fullback, tight end, H-back guys, that's going to be part of this offense. Why? You have to run the ball to protect Russ, either from himself or just from the rush, because your offensive line, while road grading, is not good at pass protection. So run the hell out of the ball. Use your Javonte Williams. Use your Samaje Perine. And then please have a package for Jaleel McLaughlin so that he can make plays for this team as well. But if I look at this Broncos offense, like, yeah, the 3 wide receivers, and I know you all love Greg Dulcich, an 18-yard catch, like, that's fine. But they're going to have the blockers on the field. They're going to have Chris Manhertz out there when he's healthy, because he's like an extra tackle. Adam Troutman is the better blocker. I have seen Dulcich make one good block in training camp, one. And I'm not saying that I've seen every single block that he's executed, but I did see one block of note during all of training camp. That's not good enough. So as a receiving weapon, when you're down, when you're going, you can go 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, and then have 2 wide receivers. And Dulcich is basically a wide receiver, so it's like going 11 personnel. Either way, don't expect this team to fill the air with footballs. Don't expect this team to win through the air. That's not how they're going to do it. So force feed Jerry Jeudy so you can get explosive plays. Throw it up to Cortland Sutton on some of those moon balls that you set up by running the hell out of the ball, and then have a package of plays for Jaleel McLaughlin. Your tight ends aren't going to do anything. And I love Ryan Harris. He's a dear friend. But when Ryan's going on about the fantasy, like, fantasy owners really like Greg Dulcich. That may be true, but if you're drafting Greg Dulcich, that's a mistake. Unless it's best ball and you don't have to set a lineup and you just, if he has a big game, you get his numbers. Like, that's the only way. Like, Greg Dulcich is like a tight end 3. And even Adam Troutman is like barely a tight end 2, which means you're not drafting, you're not playing these guys. There's a zillion other tight ends out there. So love Ryan Harris, love Steve Levy. I thought the intro person, whoever it was, not the sideline reporter, but like before Steve Levy started talking, I was like, can we have some energy, please? Because we're like, and now 9 News presents the Broncos and the 49ers. It's dull. It's boring. I'll talk to Brian. But like, it was awful. Like, it's preseason. This is the one that matters. Like, this is big. So Steve Levy, great job. Ryan Harris, great job. Nobody should be drafting Greg Dulcich. Okay. So I'll talk to Ryan next time. I'll say, like, oh, you know, a little fancy advice, baby. You got my number. Like, just hit me up. But no, don't. No. That's one of those like announcer things. Like, and Ryan doesn't play fantasy. At least I don't think he does. But it's one of those, like, those crazy kids playing that fantasy football. They do love a Greg Dulcich. Like, you shouldn't. Anyway, is that it? Is that a wrap? Are we done? Y'all got any more questions? I'll do an AMA. All right, here at the end of the show. You want to do some questions about any of these players? I'm just kind of brain dumping, which is essentially what I do. So I just want to make sure that I've covered everything and didn't miss anyone of note. You know, because I've done Tony Jones with the big 43-yard run. Okay, that's good. Practice squad, you know, you want Tony Jones around. I think Dwayne Washington was out there, right, for like a special teams play or something. But like, you know, you're not going to, your backfield's already set. You've got Burton at fullback. You got 3 backs. You're taking Williams. You're taking P. Ryan. They're going to run the hell out of the ball. McLaughlin's the electric guy. He's going to make the team. Like, we could set the 53-man roster right now, other than the players that they're going to add from other teams. That's what they're going to do. Detroit Mission Control. What's up, dude? He says, thoughts on Ben Powers? He's not been good. Okay. And I applauded it. I even made fun of Pro Football Focus, even though I do have friends over there, because they did like a top 32 guards in the league and they didn't include Ben Powers. And I feel he's a top 12 guard in this league. But after watching him in training camp and watching him in the preseason, I hope it gets better. I like Ben Powers. I applaud the move. I liked it more than the McGlinchey move. The McGlinchey move was always, and part of it's just him. He's 6'9". I'm not going to sound like Russell Wilson and be like, he's a championship level tackle. You don't have to lie, Russ. He's on championship level team, was with the 49ers, but he's also 6'9", and he can't bend. So he's going to reach, he's going to lunge, he's going to hold, and he's not going to be great in pass protection. He's going to road grade, though. So when McGlinchey can do what McGlinchey is meant to do, I'll feel a little bit better. When Powers can do what Powers is meant to do, I'll feel a little bit better. But Miners has had some struggle. Don't call me the belly. Dude, just play better, okay? Don't sell shirts about the belly if you don't want anyone to call you the belly. Powers hasn't played well. Cush has been mostly good, although there have been some not so good plays that we've seen from Cush. Right now, I'm not paying him if I'm the Broncos. A lot of stuff can change. It's basically a little over the middle of August, so lots of stuff could change with Cushenberry. But this is why the Russell decision is so important, because you might be replacing Garrett Bowles next year. You want to replace Lloyd Cushenberry next year. Hopefully Miners, who will be in a contract year then, like, he'll be better. It's not necessarily trending that way. Powers had better be better. McGlinchey had better be better. So either way, Jody says he has a top 10 right tackle. No, I don't think so. I don't believe that with McGlinchey. As a run blocker, if we're grading run blocking, yes. But pass blocking matters. And then Garrett asks, how different would McGlinchey have looked as a road grader? This is what's unfortunate about missing McGlinchey in this game, because then he'd go out there and get to push fools around his former teammates. Like, that would have been awesome. So we can't necessarily grade McGlinchey. Here's the other problem, though. When he comes in, he's going to have to shake the rust off. because he missed the time at the beginning of camp for a family reason, death in the family, and we all send our hearts out to him. But you saw when McGlinchey showed up, he had rust, and it was rough. And then he kind of worked it off and then get hurt. So Mike McGlinchey might not be ready or like himself until week 4. You got some important games coming up, man. You've got Max Crosby in week 1. You've got everybody that the Commanders can send you in week 2. Like, you've already got pass rushers just throwing waves at Russell Wilson. You need you guys healthy, and you need the rust shaken off. And then Nate asks about Copper. This isn't Fox and the Hound. It's a deep pull, everybody. Cooper is the real deal. I am so happy for Jonathan Cooper, because this is where people get stuff wrong, and it's fine. Like, it's never, ever about me and my evaluations being correct. And I was on denverbroncos.com at the Senior Bowl, and I said Jonathan Cooper should be the draft pick, and they get him in the 7th round. And none of that matters, okay? Glory to the players, glory to the game. Now, do I feel better when a player I loved in college hits? Of course. Yes, it's natural. I want to hit. And not everything, and this is what's great about football, but also frustrating, if I'll get personal for a moment. I will work harder than anyone to get you guys the information on draft picks, okay? Work harder than anyone. It's what I do, and I do it knowing I won't be right about everything, and that's frustrating. And I do it knowing if I'm wrong about someone, I'll hear about it forever and ever and ever. So again, when people are like, oh, you just like Cooper because you liked him in the draft, or the opposite, well, you don't like this guy because you didn't like him in the draft. No. Enough. Okay. Enough, buddy. It's glory to the players, glory to the game. And Nate knows this because Nate's a regular viewer and watcher and a damn good Broncos fan. But the thing is like, I'm happy for Cooper. It doesn't have anything to do with my evaluation. Like, I saw it in college at Ohio State, and I love Baron Browning too, by the way. Cooper is taking the step that we expected from Baron Browning. And Browning's going to have some work to do when he comes back. And, when he comes back, what do you do with Benito then? It's a good problem to have. But is Jonathan Cooper the real deal? Well, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. But if you wanted to buy a number 0 jersey, wouldn't be against it. Be kind of cool, right? I know some people don't dig the 0, but I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool, man. And Jonathan Cooper, great story. Overlooked, had the heart thing. And of course, teams get scared off by that. It's like, baby, he checked out medically at the combine. Look at the film. The kid's incredible. And so to see these steps, it's in essence like being a proud papa, but also it's just, man, it's them. It's their family that's supported them. It's their teammates that have supported them. Like, I love that story of the overlooked player who proves everybody wrong. That's Jonathan Cooper. So Nate, is he the real deal? Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Justin asks, how has Miners not played good? I'm going to tell you a story. Would y'all like some tea? Butch Berry, allegedly, or whatever I have to say, last year would basically yell at Quinn, not correct him, not tell him what to do. This is all allegedly. Totally don't know this for sure. Butch Berry would just yell at him, cuss at him, not correct him, not teach him. So Zach Strief now is he's undoing the damage done. I think there was damage done with Nathaniel Hackett on Russell Wilson. He let Russ do too much, right? Nathaniel Hackett's oh God. I've gotten in so much trouble of talking about Nathaniel Hackett. I kind of don't like bringing him up, but I want to emphasize to all you how crappy this entire Hackett situation was. And I have to clean it up for whatever this is, podcast, YouTube, whatever, YouTube overlords, don't demonetize us. Like, it was awful. Hackett was awful. Anything bad that you can think, it was true. It was all true. So Butch Berry was worse than Hackett. So how is Miners not look good? He had a year stunted of his growth because he had a coach, and I know football is about overweight men and windbreakers yelling at you, but he had a coach that would only just cuss and yell at him and dog cuss him and never tell him And even Quinn would be like, what am I supposed to just change it? Again, allegedly or whatever I have to say. Why do we have to protect our commentary like that? I have no idea. But like, yeah, Butch Berry wouldn't tell him what to flip and do to change it. He'd just yell at him. So Miners, hopefully a year from now, which will be his contract year, will be playing better. But it is disappointing because you wanted to see that next step. Miners, and I don't want to bring this up, one, because he's my friend, two, because it's going to scare you guys. He's on the Dalton Reisner track where we see him and we're excited, and then it never really gets much better. And I love Dalton. Again, he's a friend, but we all know his rookie season was really good, and then he just kind of leveled off. And I would guess he probably didn't get along with Butch Berry. That's just a guess. I have no idea why he doesn't have a job, even a job with the Broncos. Like, no, I have zero idea. None. Either way, I don't want to scare y'all with that comparison, but that's what we're seeing from Quinn Miners. Like, you got to do it. Quinn's got all the talent, and I appreciate George Paton for taking him in the draft. I don't say that a lot about George Paton picks. I know teams that were making fun of the Broncos for taking the Wisconsin Whitewater kid. I have friends that work for teams that are like, you got Miners. Thought it was a good pick. I thought it was a little early. I did not have any intel that would say differently. And again, I don't want to scare you guys, but it's like when they drafted Richard Quinn, and you know, they were told someone was real interested in the tight end who had 12 catches at North Carolina. I'm like, I talked to every team in the league, and nobody was saying that. It's like the Montreal Washington thing. Like, I talked to every team in the league. Nobody was talking about Montreal Washington. There was no like buzz. There was some buzz on Quinn Miners, but kind of the opposite way. Like, the Broncos took the guy that's snapping in garbage cans. I think Miners is a good player. He's certainly flexible. But he's got to see that growth and improvement. West, do they cut Bowles? There's no depth, man. Pick up Jason Peters and then whatever. There you go. Chris Cross. McLaughlin, for sure. Jones will make the practice squad because he knows. And I saw Jones at the Shrine game when it was still in Tampa at the Trop. I think that was 2019, whatever. Anyway, I'm old. Jones will make the practice squad. He knows what Sean Payton wants to do. McLaughlin is the guy that you got to get. You got to get on the first team. You got to get him a package of plays. Certainly. Agent Zero, great X-Men character. That's right, Detroit Mission Control. As you stare at my box of comic books, those are going to Whatnot sometime when I have some time. All right. Let's see. Don't break the code, Cecil. Hackett Bong Rip. There's Jason. There you go, Jason. You get off Twitter because you hate Elon. Now I don't hear from you anymore. For shame. Pot stoner degenerate up there in Greeley. Anyway, O&B's Real Talk. We appreciate that. That's right. And I did get that new Conan comic. All right. Any more AMAs besides about my comic book collections or my smoking gun comics? Mar bounce back game. That's true. And then Jody asks, is it true the locker room cheered when Barry was fired? How do I say this? Shake the magic 8 ball. That's pretty likely that happened. Anyway, don't want to crap on the former coaches who were terrible, god awful, caused the downfall of this team even further. Which again leads me back to George Paton. Is Sean Payton looking for a new GM? I mean, he should be. And I think that's something in life. I think it was Dennis Miller that said this, like, you might never be more than you are right now. Whatever level you're at, in whatever industry you're in, whatever you are in life, you may never be more blank than you are right now. And George Paton got the opportunity to be a general manager. And from talking to every scout, all the scouts, whatever, George Paton has a great reputation in the league as a scout. Being a general manager is different. The Broncos have good scouts. They have been listened to a little bit more than they were under the Elway regime. Sorry, John. I still want to go drinking with you, John. Anyway, like, I'll just tell you the truth. Like, John maybe wasn't as dialed in on the late round picks as he needed to be. George does a better job at that, but he might just be a good scout and a great scout. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with George Payton's eye for talent. I think this job just might be too big for him. I was hoping that by taking everything off his plate, like they did this year, except for just be the GM, that would allow him to get back to his scouting ways. Sean Payton may not be as patient as I don't think I'm that patient, but Sean Payton certainly might not be that patient. So will he look for new GM? Whatever. Anyway, there you go. I think that's a wrap, everybody. I want you to do all those YouTube things. I want you to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. It helps us grow the YouTube channel. So thank you all for doing that. However you're watching this. You've commented in the chat room. Pot Stoner Degenerate, especially you, Jason, I need you to comment on the actual video, because to help the YouTube algorithm, you got to comment on the video, and you got to like, comment, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. I know it's annoying, but thank you guys for doing that. It helps us grow the channel, and our channel has grown. And certainly OBT, man, we love you guys. On Orange and Blue today, Monday through Friday, 3:30 p.m., me and Andrew Mason telling you the truth about this Denver Broncos team. Some really good things tonight. Some really good things. I'm excited about this Broncos team. They don't have any depth. But I could have told you that a month ago. I could have learned how to speak English when I was younger, but I grew up in the country. So, we didn't get no fancy book learning. Anyway, appreciate you all. Love you all. Thank you very much for the kind words, and even sometimes unkind words, but whatever. Get down how you get down, baby. I'm Cecil Lammey. Until next time, be safe, be kind, know that you're appreciated. Stay tuned, and would you please, as always, stay frosty.